Welcome back. Joining us on the show, Mr. Chintala, Chairman of Nabard. Thanks so much for joining us, sir. Lots to, of course, discuss with you, including the recent RBI commentary, which is to extend support and provide, that SLF or special liquidity facility. Help us understand the benefits from this move in particular and the kind of, lateral benefits you expect from the additional liquidity.
Special liquidity fund. Last year also we got a special liquidity fund of 25,000 crores, and that was a measure initiated by Government of India to offset the bad effects of the COVID. And all of you are aware that last year that rural areas were not affected much in the initial phases. So that RBI had relaxed that kind of a thing, saying that some kind of a liquidity has to be infused into the system, and they gave 25,000 crores to Nabard last year, and so we have immediately passed it on to the cooperative banks and RRBs, and you can see the results as to how the credit growth had happened in the agriculture sector. And the cooperatives and RRBs also have done wonderfully well along with the commercial banks. And this year, MPC also has again decided that RBI has given 25,000 crores to Nabard, and we are very confident that this year also agricultural growth is going to happen, and the credit growth is also going to be in a much higher trajectory.
All right, fair enough. On the rural economy indicators are, of course, suggesting good growth and recovery, and being the apex financial institution that's actually there for rural India, what are some of the trends that you're gathering, whether or not you feel that recovery momentum is sustainable going forward?
Yeah, if you see the last year when the whole of the economy was gone to a kind of a spin, and most of the sectors were not doing well, agriculture, which is 24/7 and also 365 days a year, had never stopped working. And we had confidence even that time also that despite the pandemic and also the lockdowns, the sector is going to perform very well. And it had really beefed up our belief that this year, the year FY21, the target was 15 lakh crores, and by February end itself, it was around 13.7 lakh crores for the credit disbursement that had happened. And probably by March, it must have surpassed the 15 lakh crores. And this year, 16.5 lakh crores is maybe I can say a small incremental improvement. And I am very confident that it is going to do. And the second part, why the rural economy is doing so well. Actually, there are few things which we have analyzed, because in an apex institution, we have quite a lot of an understanding as to really what is happening. First thing, what I have seen is with regard to the supply side factors. There were so many, because like last year, government had initiated that Atmanirbhar package and gave the third tranche as the exclusive for the agriculture. Then RBI has given the TLTRO, RBI has reduced the CRR and pushed quite a lot of liquidity into this one. And the next one is that Government of India had initiated quite a lot of things like maybe relaxation of the work related to maybe the lockdown conditions to them. So this is one very important thing which the government has done. And the other one is that the way government had worked with alacrity with regard to allowing the accredited warehouses to work as a procurement centers under ENAM, and also that to not to stop any kind of a supply chain. So they gave insurance cover to more than 1 lakh people, to both the FCA officers as well as the laborers. So that had kept the whole of this thing running. And so that is why most of the agricultural operations went without any kind of a problem. And the other major important thing which I had observed was that the procurement operations, the government had done a wonderful job of procuring maybe more than 38 million tons of wheat by June of 20. And the next Kharif, FY22, now the Kharif was already is there, that by 25th of March, when I gathered the data, 25th March 2021, almost 46 million tons of paddy had been procured. So now, these are the few things which had really made the rural economy ticking and also doing very well. And the other one is with regard to the PM Kisan, the way the money has been transferred, and also giving the higher commodity prices that are ruling. So these are all the things which have made agriculture as a sector very buoyant. So this was my observation.
Okay, while your disbursements have gone higher, could you tell us that what is the token of disbursement in terms of the size and the quantum? Has the reach gone higher?
With regard to credit, yeah. So now, if you look into it, on an average, the credit growth of agriculture in the last 1 decade was close to around 12 to 13%. And this year, despite the pandemic, the credit growth was close to around 9.9 to 10%. So that itself is very substantial when the other sectors were posting maybe negative growth or maybe very dismal growth. So now that indicates that the agriculture as a sector had done very well. And also the maybe the other sectors which I could see in that one is with regard to the term loans that have picked up. This was a very substantial thing and a profound thing that had happened during this year was that so much of investments have happened both in the public as well as the private space in the agriculture in the rural areas. Now, if I can say that now 42% of the agricultural credit that has gone during the year FY21 has gone to only the term lending. Term lending can be the maybe micro irrigation structures, pump sets, tractors, maybe animal husbandry, fisheries, or any kind of a thing. And that indicates that the people are doing their job and they are producing whatever they are supposed to do. And also the good monsoon of the year with a great amount of moisture availability had really facilitated this kind of a credit growth. And so credit growth had happened in a very substantial way.
So for this year, which is FY22, most of the sectors will have a base effect after a poor FY21. FY21 you did rather well. So when the numbers for every sector will look in double digit, early teens, late teens, how will your number look like? Because you already had a decent base last year.
Yeah, maybe last year, despite the pandemic, agriculture grew at 4% and the credit also had grown substantially, no doubt. And at the same time, we have made the analysis that our requirement of credit for agriculture for the year FY22 is 16.5 lakh crores, which is roughly around 10% over the previous year. So now, so in that way, despite having maybe a base effect or anything, whatever we call, but still I think 10% growth rate in the credit will happen. While the agricultural growth, I am expecting maybe close to around 4 to 4.5%, subject to a very good monsoon. Though all the predictions say that this year the monsoon is going to be very good. This is what most of the meteorological predictions say. And also in case of the COVID resurgence, whatever is happening right now, if it gets contained, maybe in the next 1 or 2 months, by the time the Kharif operations start, I think there will be absolutely no stopping of agriculture growth. And I am very confident that the sector as a whole will give the 4% growth rate for the year FY22.
Sure. Mr. Chintala, reports are suggesting that in FY21-22, Nabard has pegged the balance sheet size to about 7.5 crore rupees, which is about 12.4% growth. Which sector in particular out of the ones that you just highlighted you think will contribute to the maximum growth? And given that you clocked a 24% growth in your balance sheet, help us understand what were the growth drivers that have led to such a strong performance in this post-pandemic era?
Yeah, thank you for asking this question. That during the FY21, we did quite a lot of re-engineering of our products and also the processes. So now in that process, we could push maybe that short term, because we have maybe 3 or 4 credit products which we give to maybe both the governments and also the financial institutions. Now that every year Nabard gives around 90,000 crores to the short term operations as a refinance at a concessional rate. And this year, that is FY21, when Atmanirbhar package was announced, so we took a call that we will give maybe another 30,000 crores extra. So, but ultimately we did around 41,000 crores over and above the 90,000 crores. So that was the first sector which we put maybe around 41,000 crores over and above the 90,000 crores. Next one is the long-term operations. As I told that maybe the agriculture term loans also has gone up from 78,000 crores to 92,000 crores. But the major thing that happened was with regard to the rural infrastructure. It is the rural infrastructure contains RADF, Prime Minister's Awas Yojana, NIDA, and maybe few other things like micro irrigation fund and others. So this has made a steep growth to around 65,000 crores, or maybe I can say 66,000 crores. So this is one major area which we could push the credit, and we are expecting a similar kind of thing in the FY22 also. And the other very important thing, as I mentioned earlier, that the procurement operations this year were seamless, and they went on the way actually the government of India had decided, that most of the state government procurement agencies have also done wonderful level of procurement, and Nabard is one of the agencies which gives the procurement fund also to most of the state government outfits. So now this time we have made an all-time high of close to around 47,000 crores we have given to these procurement operations. So now if I really sum up actually that there is an improvement in every segment, and besides that what we have done was that we created a new kind of maybe a credit absorption areas like the watersheds, tribal development projects, and also the agri infrastructure fund, where the primary agricultural societies are going to be converted into the marketplaces under the new agricultural reform norms. So now these are the new areas which are really acted as a triggers and also drivers. So now answering your first question, that next year what we have pegged, because this year we made a progress of around 24% growth rate from 5.32 lakh crores. We grew to around 6.57 lakh crores. Next year we have pegged a target of around 7.5 lakh crores, and where we have put now we will give our short-term operations a little more push, and also the long-term operations, like as I told that maybe the mechanization, farm mechanization, everything, that will go up by another 10 to 15,000 crores. Besides that, maybe the rural infrastructure, as you are aware, the government of India has already given maybe from 30,000 crores, they increased our limit to around 40,000 crores for the RADF. So now we are expecting there will be a kind of a big uptake of credit in all the sectors. So now even 7.5 lakh crores, sometimes I feel that it is a maybe comparatively a lesser growth rate, but thing is we will take a call really when we are going to do maybe little higher also.
All right, we'll let you go on that note. Thank you so much for sharing with us and giving us insights.